Good morning. This is Norma Cowie with Wednesday's Norma Talk. And it is the first Wednesday of the month. So therefore, I now have a tarot card reading for the North America for this month, which I will get to in very quick time. I just have to share my screen. In fact, I'm just going to say a couple of things. Where we are has been very, very hot. For not the hottest I've ever seen it here, because I do live in a desert area, but it has been warm, and that to me is wonderful. I love that kind of weather. So, and I've done a couple of weekends, weekends, yeah, weekends every weekend. I did a couple of weddings this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and I was so glad I had something over when we weren't out in the hot sun when actually I was performing these weddings. So, but it was, I like it. I love this kind of weather. It's dry heat, and it's so much easier than the humidity that we have in so many places. So if you're in humid weather, I apologize because I know that sometimes that can be a little much. In the meantime, I'm going to put up a share screen if all goes well. And hopefully, it always takes a minute sometimes. There we go. This is the reading that I got for this month. And I found it. I don't usually read them when I put them out, and this is the what I call the inverted pyramid style. It's basically we kind of run through, and I can see from the month how it works. Now, one of the things you may notice that there is 4 wand symbols. That's thinking. That's mental. Those are things that are going on. So that I found kind of interesting. But so let's just take a look at where we're going. Right now we're at the third. So I still think we're still with the first symbol, which is the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is always about defending your ideas. And it's almost like you have an idea, but you get really stuck on it, and that's it, and you'll defend it and justify it. So that to me, there's a lot of, to some degree, defending. But what I liked, and I want to go to about the 6th, which we're not there yet, 6, maybe even through to the 10th, but maybe not because of the next symbol, is the King of Wands, which is where we're projecting. Now, I find with the King of Wands, there's an air of procrastination that is in that. And so it's like projecting ideas out, planning them, thinking, but may not necessarily executing them. So again, this whole, I want to say between the first, and I want to take it up to the 10th, which is a little longer stretch because you feel usually I'm already into the third symbol in the 10th, where there's a lot of mental activity, a lot of planning, a lot of figuring, a lot of things happening. So there's a little bit of a crossover with the next symbol, which is the King of Cups. It's another attitude. Court cards to me are attitudes, are habits of life, or how we mostly think, feel, and respond. The King of Cups, to me, is not always dealing with the feeling level, but holding to the plan. It's an emotional symbol per se, but the way it sits is that the emotions are a little rough underneath, and that's where my eye goes on this symbol, is the water, very churny. That's emotionally. So I think, again, I want to go back maybe to the 8th through to about the 12th, 4 days in there, where emotions are high. And when emotions are high, we don't always know what we're doing with them exactly. We don't know how they're working and what they're doing. Also, if you, in this particular deck that I use, the Rider-Waite deck, the King's Eye is looking backwards in a way. He's got his eyes aren't forward, so he's looking back at what has come on. And this, I just feel in this particular symbol right now is that there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of emotion, a lot of element of what you're wanting to create and what you're wanting to do. So everything gets a little turmoily there. As we move in a little later, and we come into around the 15th. This is the Nine of Swords is, to me, is always sad, depressing, and not sure what's going on. So sometimes when things mound up, what happens, we don't know what to do, and we feel stuck. We feel like we're in a place of where we're heading and where we're going and what we're doing. I know that sometimes it's like there's no win in a situation. And when we think of, we're looking at all of North America, that's a lot of people putting out an energy of, oh, what's next? Where am I going? What am I doing? How is this working? I feel in some ways that this is a catalyst. And because, you know, the old saying, it's dark before the dawn, this is how I kind of feel because the symbol that follows at the very, very top here. And that is that Seven of Wands, where there is a feeling of uncertainty, not sure, like people, ideas have been cast, but maybe, you know, fit quite in with them. You're not really sure where everything is happening. I want to go to about the 19th, 20th of the month. So between the 1st and the 20th, to me, unsettled, I'm not sure, lots of ideas, frustration, uncertainty. Where are we heading? Once the 20th comes, I think everything shifts and changes. First of all, we go then to the 10 of Pentacles, where that's always about opportunities, communication, opportunities. To me, it's a fulfillment. Things are more fulfilling. There is a feeling, and to me, the communication really comes up. People are communicating. There is a maybe more information has come through, and so people are talking about it, and you know, maybe still not really sure which way to go, what to do, but lots of communication. Then, oh, and hang on, that was around the 20th. So about the 23rd, Justice sits there. Justice is a higher arcana card. It's the only one in this run this time. And it's about commitment. It's about decision, commitment, moving into maybe a little bit unknown, but you're going to do it anyway. You're going to commit. I think there's a shift coming here, a big shift, actually, where some commitments are made. And it's like you're, you know, the old saying, you're with us or you're not with us. There is a commitment about who's committing to move in a certain direction, who's committing to move beyond what's visible. But because what follows that is the Three of Wands, as we move from the 20th into around the 24th, between up to this is not just one day at a time, it spreads. And this month in particular, everything kind of blends a lot more than usual. Then what we see here is a projection out of where we're heading. And I just feel this run, it makes a whole big difference. Then, as we come into the end of August, everything kind of goes from looking optimistic to I'm not sure, but there's opportunities here. And what I think people generally is going to will happen is that they're going to be looking at what one thing, and they're going to be careful that something else is not being offered that's being brought in that they're not really aware of. Because you know how sometimes magicians do a sleight of hand and they have you watching this hand and on this other hand doing something else. I think this is where we have to be very, very careful right at the end of August, in that what's being presented to us and we're looking at and going, I don't know if I like that. I don't know. Is that actually there's a kind of a magical slip, being a little bit underhanded there. But on the whole, this is a very interesting month because there's a lot of confusion to me, even though we don't really have too many confusion elements, but there's a solidity, but it's not solid. We've got commitment, we've got direction. So if we kind of take a look at, you know, some of the other messages in here, it says we go from being really stuck in how it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, where it's supposed to go, to through communication to change, but then we resist that. Maybe we resist what's coming down the turnpike or what the next step is. But there is communication in there, which I like that. When we take a look at the main line from the beginning, it's like, again, emotionally, I think it's all over the place, actually, this month. And emotionally denial, but having to make decisions of direction of what's going on, which we may or may not want to accept. So there could be some changes coming up at the end of August. And then on the bottom side is this whole thinking, so much thinking going on this month, trying to sort things out, trying to understand. I think there will be more information that comes out into what we call the mainstream that has not been coming out, that will come out. And it's like people will like, oh my goodness, listen, is that real? Is that true? And it gives a different perspective. But then what do you do with that information? What do you do when you're being delivered, when all you've had is oatmeal forever and all of a sudden you're given bran flakes? It's like, well, how doesn't sit well. Where's my oatmeal? So it's kind of like, I feel this month is a little topsy-turvy, that there's positives for sure, but how do we accept those as a group? How do they get accepted? How do they get implemented? What do they do? The main force, Hurricane always has a higher force power, and it's all about decision, choice, and commitment. But what? It's not clear. It's like there's so much things that I still think there's too much hidden away, and feeling of what we're supposed to do with all this information that very possibly could be coming out. And I say possibly because there's repression here, but there's also expansion. So it's not an easy month per se for a lot of people, I think. I think they're going to be, don't see confusion, I see uncertainty. As we move forward. So it will be interesting to see what this end of August brings. I think the possibility is huge for change. Excuse me, change for the betterment of everyone. But at the same point, it's like closing down again as we look at towards the end. And because that's leading into September. So we shall see what happens. But anyway, that's what I get for them. I'm just putting my cards on my table together. That's what I get for this month of August. So I want to thank you for following that with me, and trustingly, we'll see how it unfolds. I'm going to stop the share, go back to this. Now, it's always interesting when you're reading to see what comes through or what the vibration is and how that vibration works in so many different ways. But one of the thoughts that I had, mainly just by some interchanges that I had, was the whole thing is the inner dialogue that you have within your mind updated to where you are. And I think this goes really well with this reading this morning. I'll just put these cards back on top of my pile here. I'll tell you how I explain, where I really see this happening is I get a lot of women over the years that have come in, and because my clientele, let's face it, is mostly women with some men, but mostly women, and concerned about their children, worried how they're going to be. They want to know what's, this, that, or the other about them. And very often I pick up the sense, and so this is what I say to them. How old is your child? They could be any ages from 23, I'm just going to pull some out to 66, depending on the age of the mom. Then I ask them this: if you close your eyes and look inside, how old are they in your mind's eye? Rarely does the age equal their biological age. I have people who have children in their 30s and even 40s who have them at 16, 12, maybe even a baby because they were the youngest. Now, two things happen with that. One is you will be consistently responding to the inner picture, not the outer picture. If you're having trouble with your child, I don't care what their age, check how old are they inside in here. You must, as far as I'm concerned, always have your children at the proper age. Now, I found this out years and years ago about how this worked. And then I began with my son, and he was in his early 50s. And just a little bit and not so much easy communication. So I knew, I stopped and I went, how old is he in my mind? What I found was I still had him at 47. Now, it doesn't sound much difference between 47 and 52. But the moment I grew that 47-year-old into 52 inside my mind, our relationship went back to how it usually is and stays to this day. And every birthday, I make sure my inner picture equals his birthday as he goes another year older. I have just really, truly helped so many people in their relationships within their family just by this alone, making sure that your mental mind on the inside in here equals the external. I've had some mothers say, oh no, but well, my baby, my whatever. And well, he's not your baby anymore. He's an adult or she's an adult. Very often we do this with sons, but probably a little bit more than daughters, but not necessarily, because I've seen it in both time, son and daughters. But we do it for a lot of things. We do it with our friends that we've had forever. Now, I moved away from my country when I was 18. I didn't go back home till I was, gosh, it was 8 years later anyway, 20, well, that'd be 26. I had 2 kids by then. And I remember this is my first twig. My mom said to somebody in my hearing, I have difficulty because I still see her as 18. And here she is, a mother with 2. And I had what did I have? Nearly 8 and a 6-year-old. So that stuck with me. And over the years, when I began to see this, I realized we've got to keep this updated with our own kids. When I began to have trouble with my kids, I would go, oh, how old are they inside? And I would make sure they grew up. Was I perfect all the time? No, sometimes I forget. And then, things got a little ring. And then I go, where have I got them? Because the vibration, we forget everything is a vibration. And their vibration changes. Your family changes. Your mother. How many people have I had to do that with their mothers? I don't understand my mother. I don't know what's going on. Well, age is she inside? Not the right age. Sometimes older than what they are, actually. So it's like there's a whole world in there that needs to grow up. And I'm just going to tie that back in a little bit into this reading this month. In that, there's so much going on this month where ideas. What are ideas? What do we want? Where are we wanting to go? This also relates back to goal setting. What are you doing with your goal setting? Are you really seeing the end result? As people who know me, always talk end result. Don't get tied up in the steps. The steps will occur. You just always know when you're in step A, if you're step A, when you've done step A, you do step B, etc. Slow and sure, you'll get there. But we've got to ensure that inner dialogue, that inner picture that you have. Some people see in pictures like I do. Some people hear words. Whatever, you've got to ensure that it's present time. And if you're looking at a goal, to ensure that you're dealing with the result that you actually want. And yeah, it can change as time goes around a little bit, because it does, but go for the end result, step by step. Never mind all the different, but I got to do this and I got to do that. And I sometimes shake my head at some of my clients because they're trying to figure out every step along the way. And I don't know about your life, but in mine, I had many things out of the nowhere come, and I had to do quite a bit of dancing, you might say, and readjusting in my life. But always holding the goal that you're wanting and what you're wanting to create, and what you're wanting to do, and not getting too caught up because it wasn't working the way I thought it should. So shoulds, got tos, have tos, maybes, perhaps, as far as I'm concerned, they're not the best in our vocabulary, because all we're doing is looking for trouble. And some people say, I don't know why I have so much trouble. Well, look at your language, because the language is the offshooting of what happens in your minds. How's your language? I know my language slips and can, because you get tired and you just, but the truth is, you really can't afford to do that if you want to achieve. If you want to achieve, you just stay focused. and know and trust the universe will bring to you what you want. But when when you're all over the place, yes, I do, no, I don't, it's supposed to be this be that. It's very difficult for the universe to keep track. It's like, oh, there's confusion. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do with that? Well, I think that's my talk for today. And with the picture of August, it looks like we could have a lot of fun or we could get very upset. And know that just check your inner thoughts for your family, for close friends, and in relation to your goals. And I really want to thank you for watching and listening. And for those of you that have subscribed, we've had a couple of new subscribers come in. I thank you for that. Also, I want to thank you for your shares, your likes, your comments, all those things. They really, really help. And I apologize if it's not up on Facebook like you're used to. I'm still trying to figure that out to make it work. Apparently press something I shouldn't have, and I'm having a hard time. I'm pressing it, I'll tell you. Anyway, other than that, yeah, I'll be back on Sunday for a Sunday Thought and Monday night for mental mind treatments. You have a great week, and thank you.